Chosen one, God did not smile because you became perfect. He smiled because, for one quiet moment, you stopped letting the wound make the decision. Something shifted inside you today. It may have looked small. Nobody around you may have noticed. But the old pattern reached for control. And for once, you were no longer available. Maybe you did not send that message. Maybe you stopped explaining yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you. Maybe you closed a door that had remained open long after peace left the room. Or maybe you heard a quiet instruction within and followed it before fear could build another argument against it. That was the moment. Not when everything outside you changed. The moment came when familiar pain called your name and you chose clarity instead. Heaven rejoiced because the version of you that pain once controlled did not answer the door. The image is not of God judging your delay. It is of a father smiling because his child finally recognized a sacred difference. Love is not attachment. Patience is not self-abandonment. You may still feel uncertain. Yet heaven does not measure every transformation by visible results, because sometimes the clearest proof of change is the reaction you no longer have. You did not come here for another prediction. You came because something in you has already changed, and you need words for it before the old mind says it meant nothing. Think about the last few days. Was there a moment when you almost returned, reacted, chased, or begged for an answer? Perhaps your hand reached for the phone. Perhaps your mind began rehearsing the same defense. Your body felt the familiar pressure to act before you could breathe. Then something interrupted the cycle, and even if the pause lasted only seconds, you did not become the person fear expected. That pause matters more than you know. It was the first sign that your inner authority had returned, because you allowed truth to speak before panic completed its sentence. God was not laughing at your pain. He was rejoicing because the pattern broke. The laughter in this message is not mockery. It is the warm joy of seeing someone stop knocking on a door that always required them to abandon themselves. You can receive a clear direction, but if fear still controls your attention, you may turn a simple step into another maze. This message will do more than comfort you. You will see what you did, why it carried spiritual weight, and why clarity can disappear when the mind becomes divided. Return to the moment you responded differently. Do not dismiss it because it looked ordinary. The deepest shift may have happened in silence. Say this within yourself: I chose clarity. Not because every answer was visible, not because fear had vanished. You chose it because the old pain no longer deserved the final word. There is one detail hidden inside that decision. It reveals why heaven noticed what others could not see. You are about to recognize the exact action that changed this story, and it may not be the action you first imagined. The action that moved heaven was probably not the action you first imagined. It was the one thing you finally refused to do again. You refused to betray what you already knew, just to keep something familiar from leaving. For a long time, you called it patience. You waited, forgave, explained, and tried again. But patience should not demand the loss of your peace, and love should not require you to disappear so another person can remain comfortable. You began to see the difference. Forgiveness does not mean unlimited access. Compassion does not mean accepting repeated harm. Faith does not mean standing still when every quiet instruction has already told you to move. The old cycle was simple. A silence appeared. A door began closing. Someone pulled away. Fear rushed into the empty space, and your body pushed you to chase an answer before the truth could settle. This time was different. The trigger appeared, and your body remembered the old routine. Your thoughts began moving fast, yet you did not obey the panic, because some deeper part of you finally understood that urgency is not always guidance. You thought walking away meant you failed the test. But what if staying was the old test, and leaving without hatred was the one you finally passed? You did not win because you stopped caring. You won because caring no longer required self-abandonment. You became clear enough to love without volunteering for the same wound again. This is what heaven noticed. You stopped asking pain to confirm your worth. You stopped demanding closure from the place that created confusion. You stopped handing your inner peace to someone who had never learned how to protect it. It was the silence of decision. The old version of you needed immediate reassurance. The emerging version can survive the space between an ending and a beginning. Hear this carefully. You did not lose what was yours. You released what required you to lose yourself. That is why the moment carried weight. Heaven was not celebrating a broken relationship, a closed opportunity, or another painful goodbye. Heaven was celebrating the return of your discernment, because you finally stopped confusing repeated suffering with sacred loyalty. That is not indifference, that is evidence. It means the old pattern can still knock, but it no longer owns the house. The exact action was this. You refused to let familiar pain make one more decision for you. You chose truth before relief, peace before pursuit, and inner honesty before another cycle of explanation. But this creates a new question. What allowed you to pause when every old instinct told you to react? The answer begins inside a small space that most people ignore, and that space may become the doorway to your next season. The enemy of your season was never only the person, the delay, or the closed door. It was the automatic reaction those things could still produce inside you. Every time fear created urgency, the old pattern gained another chance to speak for you. But today, something interrupted it. There was a space between the trigger and the reaction, yet that small space held more power than all the explanations you gave before. Call it the holy pause. It is the moment when fear speaks, but you do not immediately obey. It is where the old wound loses control, and where clarity finally has enough room to become audible. Pain can be present without becoming your leader. Fear can be heard without becoming your authority. You can notice the old impulse, and still choose a response that belongs to the person you are becoming. There are signs that this pause has already begun appearing. You no longer explain yourself the moment someone misunderstands you. You no longer search for reassurance each time silence enters the room. You no longer build a disaster in your mind before reality has spoken. The holy pause is also where discernment becomes practical. Fear usually demands speed. It says act now, answer now, fix this now. Clarity may be firm, but it does not need chaos to make itself convincing. Ask yourself one question. What do I know before fear speaks? Let the question settle beneath the noise, because the first honest response may be quieter than every argument that follows. This is where many people misunderstand guidance. They expect clarity to arrive like thunder. They expect a dramatic sign that removes every doubt. But guidance often enters quietly, while fear creates pressure, noise, and endless imagined consequences. If you have recently felt less urgency to chase, do not assume you have become numb. You may be learning to remain present long enough for wisdom to reach you without being interrupted by an old survival response. Many people recognize the right direction during one calm moment, but they cannot hold it. The mind becomes crowded again, attention scatters, and the clear instruction disappears beneath fatigue and noise. That is why the holy pause is only the beginning. It opens the door, but something within you must still receive, organize, and carry what enters. Otherwise, a true insight can become another thought you felt deeply but never lived. Soon, you will understand why spiritually sensitive people can feel guided, yet still struggle to focus, decide, and act. The answer is not always a lack of faith, and it may not be a failure of character. For now, protect the pause. When the next trigger arrives, do not ask what fear wants you to do. Ask what remains true after the urgency fades, and give that truth enough silence to answer. There is something about the receiving condition of the human mind that most spiritually sensitive people have never been taught. You can receive a true direction, feel it clearly for one moment, and still lose contact with it when pressure returns. This is the receiver gap. It is the distance between what is being sent and what your mind can recognize, hold, and carry into action. The message may be present, but the receiver can become tired and overwhelmed. Think of a window covered with dust. The light has not disappeared. The glass has simply lost its clarity. Think of a signal reaching a radio filled with static, because the problem is not always the source, but the condition receiving it. This does not mean your faith is weak. It does not mean God has withdrawn his guidance. Sometimes the mind is exhausted, and exhaustion can make a simple instruction feel distant. Researchers found that the brain can lose a form of coordination it displayed naturally in childhood, and when that coordination weakens, clarity, creativity, and confident decisions may feel harder to access. Later, you will see the simple 8-minute method created to support that receiving condition. But first, hold this question. What if the fog you have blamed on your character is not a character flaw at all? You may know this feeling. You read the same line again, but nothing stays. You receive a strong idea, but your attention breaks. You sense a direction, yet the moment you act, your thoughts divide into 10 different paths. This is where self-blame begins. You call yourself lazy. You question your discipline. You wonder why other people can move while you remain caught between knowing and doing. But shame makes the receiver noisier. The mind cannot become clear while it is constantly defending its worth. The receiver gap also explains why one calm moment can feel so different. During that moment, the noise lowers. The old fear stops interrupting. Your mind can finally notice what has been present beneath the pressure. Then life becomes loud again. Notifications arrive. Responsibilities return. An old memory activates your body. The signal is not necessarily gone, but your ability to stay connected with it begins to weaken. This is why protecting clarity matters. A spiritual insight still needs attention. A quiet instruction still needs enough mental space to become a decision. A decision still needs focus before it can become a completed step. So do not call yourself broken. Do not assume the calling has disappeared. The next truth may be closer than you think, but you need to understand what has been clouding the receiver before you can support it. What if nothing was wrong with your calling? What if the real struggle was the condition receiving it? You were not born feeling divided. As a child, imagination, attention, movement, and curiosity often worked together without effort. You could enter one idea completely before the world trained your mind to split in every direction. Then pressure increased. Responsibilities multiplied. Information arrived faster. Your attention learned to jump before one thought could settle, and constant interruption began to feel like your natural state. You did not become less gifted. You became more divided. You did not necessarily lose the calling. You may have lost access to the calm state that could recognize and carry it into action. Stress can keep the body prepared for danger. Too much information can weaken attention. Poor rest can make ordinary decisions feel heavy. Constant switching can leave the mind active all day, while very little important work is completed. This is why brain fog can feel personal. It follows you into prayer. It appears during journaling. It sits beside you when you finally have time to work, and then makes your struggle feel shameful. But difficulty focusing does not automatically mean laziness. Confusion does not always mean rebellion. A tired receiver can misread its own exhaustion because it keeps searching for moral failure when the real need may be rest, structure, and support. Perhaps you have tried meditation. Perhaps you have listened to brainwave tracks. Perhaps you have prayed, written pages of reflection, and promised yourself that tomorrow would finally be different. Those practices may still hold value. One method failing you does not mean you cannot change. It may only mean the approach did not match the condition you were trying to support. Clarity, is not maintained by inspiration alone. It needs structure. It needs fewer interruptions, honest boundaries, enough sleep, and a practice that helps you return to one direction after the mind begins to scatter. Imagine waking tomorrow without reaching for your phone first. You sit still. One priority becomes visible, and instead of arguing with it for an hour, you begin while the instruction is still simple. Imagine opening the document you have avoided. The first step no longer feels like a mountain. You complete one page, send one message, or make one decision that has remained unfinished for weeks. This is not about becoming superhuman. It is about becoming available to your own attention again. It is about creating enough inner coordination for logic and intuition to serve the same purpose. The fog may have convinced you that you need more force, but force can create more tension. Sometimes you need a clearer receiving state, because the next step cannot become real while your attention is scattered across every outcome. You are not being asked to know the entire path. You are being asked to recognize one honest step and remain stable enough to complete it before fear creates another maze. Now you are ready to look for evidence. There are 3 signs that the shift inside you is real, and the third will reveal whether you are prepared to carry clarity beyond one emotional moment. There are 3 signs that the shift inside you is real. The first explains why silence feels different. The second reveals why old patterns return. But the third shows whether you are ready for what comes next. The first sign is simple. Silence no longer feels like immediate rejection. Before, an unanswered message could change your day. Your mind filled the silence with fear, and every imagined story ended in rejection. Now the silence still touches the wound, but it does not control the response. You can feel discomfort without inventing a disaster. You can wait for reality, because peace no longer depends on immediate reassurance. This is not emotional coldness, it is emotional stability. A pause is not always punishment, and another person's delay does not define your worth. The second sign is difficult. Old patterns may attempt one more return. A person may return. An old opportunity may reappear. The same fear may rise, and you may wonder whether your change was real. Do not panic. A returning pattern is not proof of failure. It may reveal whether your new response remains steady when the old invitation returns. The greatest danger is not one wrong decision. It is that the discomfort of becoming new will tempt you to return to what was familiar, because familiar pain often asks less courage than unfamiliar peace. Feeling pulled backward does not mean you belong there. Missing what was familiar does not mean it was healthy. Growth can feel lonely before it feels freeing, because your body may confuse predictability with safety. The third sign is crucial. You can feel one next step, not the whole plan, not all answers, just one clear action that continues the truth you have already received. It may be sending an application. It may be a boundary. It may be completing a document, resting, ending a habit, or beginning a practice that supports attention. Notice how specific it feels. Fear creates 10 urgent possibilities at once. Clarity often gives one honest instruction and then waits for your participation. Name that step now. Do not dramatize it. Recognize the action that would make your inner decision visible. This is where inspiration becomes action. A message can move you, but movement alone does not change a pattern. The shift becomes real when your behavior reflects what your spirit already understood. Resistance may remain. That does not cancel the instruction. Courage is not the absence of tension. It is refusing to treat tension as a command to retreat. These 3 signs belong together. Silence feels safer. Old patterns weaken. The next step becomes clear. When all 3 appear, you are no longer only hoping for change. You are living it. Clarity cannot survive on emotion alone. It needs a container that protects attention when life becomes noisy again. Earlier, you were asked whether that fog might have another explanation. That question is about to be answered. What researchers found may explain why you feel guided, yet struggle to organize guidance into action. It also led to a method designed to support the receiving mind. Earlier, I asked whether the fog you blame on your character might have another explanation. It is time to close that loop. What researchers found was not only another description of the problem. According to the product research, it led toward a way to support the mind that must receive and carry your next instruction. The explanation begins with two sides of the brain. One side is often linked with language, order, logic, and sequence. The other is often linked with images, patterns, intuition, and creative connection. The point is not to choose one side. The value appears when both can work together with greater coordination. You may have felt the split within your own life. You sense what is right, but cannot organize the next step. Or you create a perfect plan, but feel no living connection to it. One part of you knows, another part delays, questions, and scatters the energy before action can begin. This creates split intention. You feel guided, yet you cannot remain focused. You understand the lesson, yet the document stays unfinished. You recognize the boundary, yet your mind produces 10 reasons to wait, because insight alone does not always create the state needed to carry insight forward. According to the explanation presented with this product, research associated with Dr. Roger Sperry explored how the two hemispheres perform different functions. His split brain work received the Nobel Prize in 1981. The product uses that research as the scientific foundation for its whole brain approach. This does not prove that every moment of brain fog comes from poor hemisphere coordination. It does not mean every decision problem has one cause. But it offers a useful question. What happens when logic and intuition stop supporting the same direction? The answer returns us to the receiver gap. A quiet instruction can reach you, but the receiving mind must still notice it, organize it, and protect it from distraction. Spiritual readiness matters. So do attention, rest, mental structure, and the ability to complete one clear action. Now the earlier mystery can finally close. The fog was never automatic proof that you lacked faith, discipline, intelligence, or purpose. It may reflect a mind carrying too much noise, while the systems needed for focused action are no longer working together as smoothly as they once did. A team connected to a neurologist in New York created a short daily audio experience around this idea. Before the name is revealed, you need to hear what two people reported after adding it to their lives. The first story comes from a nurse in San Diego named Lisa. She had already tried prayer, journaling, and meditation. She believed in the teachings, but according to her account, she still felt as though life kept happening to her, while clarity remained beyond reach. After adding the short audio practice, Lisa reported feeling more connected and mentally clear. Her experience was personal, and it does not guarantee the same result for everyone. Still, her story matters because she did not describe forcing herself to believe harder. She described supporting the condition through which attention could be received. The second story comes from Matthew, a business owner in Houston. He had spent years carrying responsibilities and solving problems for others. Over time, he began treating mental fog as normal. According to his account, after using the method consistently, he felt sharper and found practical decisions easier to make. The neurologist named with the program is Dr. Daniel Barone in New York City. The team created an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence that is used with headphones while the listener closes their eyes and relaxes. The product is called the Genius Switch. According to the product materials, the sequence uses neural sync technology. It is presented as a whole brain activation approach designed to support coordination between the left and right hemispheres. It is not positioned as an ordinary brainwave track, and it does not require a screen, a mantra, or a complicated routine. This tool does not replace prayer. It does not replace sleep, medical care, therapy, wise counsel, or personal responsibility. It cannot choose your boundary, complete your work, or obey the instruction for you. Its stated role is narrower. It is designed to support the receiving condition of attention and clarity. This is not for someone searching for another sound to play while nothing changes. It is for the chosen one who understands that God may prepare an opportunity, but a clear and present mind must still recognize the moment when it arrives. The daily process is simple. Put on headphones, sit or lie down somewhere safe. Close your eyes and listen for 8 minutes. Do not use it while driving or operating equipment. If you miss a day, the product instructions say you can simply return to the practice without starting over. The product materials describe the original value through a $500 anchor mentioned by colleagues. They also compare the method with more expensive options, including in-person neurofeedback sessions and home equipment. Those comparisons come from the seller, so they should be understood as marketing claims rather than independent medical pricing. The listed price is $49. The current page described in the product file offers it for $39. Prices can change, so check the official page before making any decision. The question is not whether $39 is small for everyone. The question is whether the tool fits your needs and budget. The purchase also includes 4 digital bonuses. The first is a guided visualization designed around money, love, health, and happiness. The second is a smart grocery shopping guide with common foods linked by the seller to mental fog, along with practical shopping suggestions. The product includes lifetime digital access. Delivery is described as immediate by email with no shipping cost. The page also presents a money-back guarantee. Read the official terms carefully, because the exact conditions and current offer should always be confirmed before purchase. The greatest cost may not be the price of the program. It may be another month spent delaying a decision you already understand. But this product is not the only possible path toward clarity, and no honest message should pretend that it is. You may choose this tool, another form of support, or a disciplined practice that fits your life. What matters is that you stop treating confusion as destiny. If this explanation describes your struggle, the official resource is linked in the description and the pinned comment. Read the details slowly. Check the price, guarantee, and terms. Decide from clarity rather than pressure. According to the product file, the Genius Switch is distributed only through its official website. It is not offered through Amazon, YouTube, or Spotify. Be cautious with unrelated recordings using similar language, because a familiar title does not prove that the material comes from the same source. You do not need to buy because this message moved you emotionally. You do not need to act from fear of missing a blessing. The right decision is the one that respects your faith, your judgment, your health needs, and your financial reality. A tool can support a receiver. It cannot become the source. Keep that distinction clear as we return to the deeper reason God smiled, because the true transformation was never a purchase. It was the moment you stopped abandoning yourself and chose to protect what had become clear. A tool may support the receiver, but it does not become the source. Keep that truth close. An audio cannot hear God for you. It cannot set a boundary, repair a relationship, complete your work, or make a courageous decision in your place. The Genius Switch is presented as a support for attention and clarity. That is all. It should never become a spiritual requirement, and buying it does not prove greater faith. You remain responsible for prayer, rest, wise counsel, medical care when needed, and the daily actions that shape your life. Now imagine tomorrow morning. You wake without reaching for your phone at once. The room is quiet. One priority becomes visible, and instead of debating it until the energy disappears, You begin while the instruction still feels simple. Later, a message arrives from someone who once controlled your emotions. Your body notices the trigger, but you do not surrender the day to it. You return to the holy pause, breathe, and answer only after peace has had time to speak. Then an opportunity appears. Perhaps it concerns work, money, service, or a creative project. You do not rush because of excitement, and you do not hide because of fear. You allow logic and intuition to examine the same door before you choose whether to enter. This is what supported clarity can look like. It is not a life without pressure. It is a life where pressure no longer makes every decision. You still feel emotion, but emotion becomes information instead of command. For the chosen one who felt something settle when the receiving mind was described, the official resource is available through the link in the description and the pinned comment. Read the information carefully and decide from clarity rather than pressure. Then return to the deeper message. God did not smile because you found a product. He smiled because you stopped letting familiar pain determine your direction. The purchase is optional. The inner decision is not. But you now know another way. You can pause. You can name what is happening. You can protect your attention long enough to hear the quieter truth beneath the noise. This is how the shift becomes visible. A boundary is kept. A document is finished. A conversation becomes calmer. A decision is made without begging everyone else to approve it. You are not trying to control every outcome. You are becoming able to meet the outcome with presence. That is the real bridge between spiritual insight and lived transformation. One final window is now opening. The old pattern has been interrupted, but it has not forgotten your address. In the next moment, you will choose how to protect the clarity that appeared today, so it can become more than one beautiful feeling. Before this closes, you will make one decision that protects what changed today. It does not require the entire path. It only requires you to stop negotiating with the instruction you already received. This is your clarity window. It is the short season after an old reaction breaks, when a new response can take root. The pattern may return, but it no longer deserves automatic access to your choices. First, name the pattern. Finish this sentence within yourself. When I fear losing something, I usually chase, explain, delay, or abandon my peace. Be honest. You cannot protect a new response while pretending the old one never existed. Second, name what you will do instead. This time, I will pause and choose what remains true after fear becomes quiet. Simple truth becomes powerful when your behavior agrees with it. Third, take one real step within the next day. Delete the message that should not be sent. Complete the application. Set the boundary. Rest without guilt. Begin the practice that supports your attention. Now every open question can close. Heaven noticed because the pattern broke. You refused to betray what you knew. Walking away became victory because you left without hatred, and fear no longer received the final word. Silence stopped defining your worth. Old patterns returned without owning you. One next step became visible. The tool was only support. The deeper change was your willingness to act from clarity. Chosen one, hear this carefully. My child, I was not waiting for you to become fearless. I was waiting for you to stop giving fear the final word. Walk with the light you have, and more will meet you on the way. Let this become your prayer. God, thank you for every moment of clarity that survived the noise. Help me recognize familiar pain when it returns, and give me strength to pause before I react. Let logic and intuition serve the same purpose. Help me stop confusing exhaustion with failure. Give me peace to recognize the next honest step, and courage to complete it. I release the need to know everything today. I release the urge to return because the future feels unfamiliar. I choose the peace that asks me to grow. God did not smile because you arrived quickly. He smiled because you stopped walking back toward what required you to abandon yourself. Protect the clarity, honor the pause, take the next step, while truth is louder than fear. You will not call confusion humility. You will not call self-abandonment love. You will move gently, but you will move. Chosen one, heaven saw the moment you changed direction. Now let your life become the evidence.